When did you realize your parents had completely lost the plot? I was 16, standing on the roof of our garage with a bottle of vodka, while my mom cheered from below, yelling at me to jump into the pool. "Try to break your arm," she said, pointing to the scar on her elbow. "You can do it!" Mom and Dad were completely obsessed with the idea that they were perfect people who'd lived perfect lives. Every mistake they'd ever made was actually a necessary step in becoming who they were today. So they expected us to make the exact same decisions at the exact same ages. Stupid mistakes, like drunk jumping into a pool, included. When my older brother Adam was born, Dad sat down and wrote out his entire life story year by year like a manual for him to follow. When Adam turned 7, Dad made him start playing baseball even though Adam hated sports, because that's what Dad did. When Adam was 9, Dad made him get in a fight with a kid at school just like he had. He was delighted when Adam got his nose broken because Dad had broken his too, and that's where he developed his fighting spirit and can-do attitude. Mom did the same thing to me and my sister Cece. She had this massive timeline of her life on the wall of her office with photos and journal entries and newspaper clippings. When I turned 13, she sat me down and said, "This is your instruction manual for becoming a woman." I asked what happened if I didn't want to do something she did, and she said, "Then you'll become a worse version of what you could be." And I refused to raise inferior daughters. The tracking started immediately. Mom made me cut my hair into this horrible bob because that's when she got one. I had to quit the soccer team I loved because Mom never played sports. At 14, she made me start smoking cigarettes because she'd started at 14. And even though she quit at 23, she said those 9 years taught her about addiction and self-control. I had to fail algebra on purpose because Mom failed algebra. When I said that was going to ruin my GPA, she said, "I failed algebra and I turned out fine. So clearly failing algebra is part of becoming fine." Adam had it even worse. When he turned 14, Dad dragged him to a tattoo shop and made him get a skull on his shoulder because Dad got one at 14 and now regretted it. Dad said, "You need to experience the regret of a bad tattoo to understand permanent consequences." When Adam was 15, Dad made him total his car on purpose by driving it into a ditch because Dad had done the same thing and said it taught him to respect vehicles. Adam walked away with a concussion, and Dad just celebrated like it was some huge accomplishment. Cece had to pierce her own ears with a sewing needle at 12 because that's what Mom did, and they got so infected she ended up in the emergency room. The worst was the roof incident. On Mom's 16th birthday, she got drunk at a party and jumped off a garage roof into a pool and broke her collarbone. She talked about it constantly like it was this pivotal character-building moment. So on my 16th birthday, she threw me a party, got me drunk, and told me I had to jump off our garage into our pool. I was terrified. I told her I didn't want to do it, and she said, "I was scared too, but I did it anyway, and that's what made me brave." I stood up there looking down at the pool while my friends stared and Mom filmed it yelling encouragement. I kept thinking about her broken collarbone and how I could die if I landed wrong. But everyone was watching and Mom was getting impatient. So I jumped. I missed the pool completely and landed on the concrete patio. I broke my leg in 3 places and fractured my hip. At the hospital, Mom seemed annoyed that I'd messed it up. She said, "I landed